Hey everyone, welcome back to another production meeting. It is just me and Alex today, because I think Ryan is a little busy. We miss him and he's here in spirit. So, hi Ryan.
All right.
What have you been doing this week, sir? These last 2 weeks? Took the week off.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's been a number of things that I've watched since our last video, which was Companions. Let's see. As always, I keep a running list. Let's go through and I keep them typically in order. So since Companion, you and I actually watched The Brutalist. We'll
Which
go
we
more
did.
into our side review for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. And then I watched Brutalist with you. We watched individually, like I took my brother and dad to go watch Love Hurts. You watched it on your own. We could also review that a little too if we'd like. And then let's see. So we did that. Did the homework, our main review for today being Captain America.
Captain America: Brave New
And
World.
then today even I just caught yep, exactly. And today I caught two movies because I wanted to slip them in before we met today. I was
Okay.
able to finally get to Hard Eyes and I was able to get to Paddington in Peru.
Oh, I
I
miss
know.
Paddington.
Uh, yeah. And then the only other like substantial thing that I did between now and or between then and now or our last video is I finally completed in its entirety Stellar Blade. You know, I'm a platinum hunter, gotta go get my platinum trophy. Finally did that. Um Being a platinum hunter bogs down the game a lot because you have to do a lot of things over and over and over and over. So it's not necessarily the game's fault that it kind of bogged down, but the story, generally speaking, was just it was fine. It wasn't great. The gameplay's fun enough. Um, the world is big enough. It's not a huge story. It's like a mixture of linear and a smidge of open world. And so overall, I'd give that about a seven. And that came out April of last year, so it's been a little under a year since it's been out. So, um, right now I think that's going for like $40 or something. So you probably, if you wanted to, I would wait for that to be on a deal, and then, because the main character's well endowed to say the least, it's gonna like Amy's gonna probably be like, "Hey man, what are you doing? What are you watching? What are you playing this for?" And he'd be like, "Alex recommended it. Alex recommended it."
Yeah, come
Um,
on.
but if as long as you keep her outfit modest, and honestly, it's not even that distracting. I would recommend it a little bit because because I've said before, it's Devil May Cry ish, and I know you're a fan of those, and so I think it's it's like a poor man's Devil May Cry if I'm gonna phrase it any which way. So
Okay.
it's 7 out of 10. Um, so you know, um, and then I think that's it. Yeah, that's all I've done really since. And then so I said on the last video that I had started watching the Castlevania series, which I did. I stopped for a second, and but because they were such short episodes, I rewatched just the few episodes that I'd already watched, and I'm glad I did that because like I liked it originally when I watched it, but when I rewatched the episodes again, I'm like I'm this is I don't know why I'm like it seems simpler the second time. I don't know how, but I like it a lot more. And so now I'm ready to like I'm gonna kind of give my gaming a break for a little while, and then I'm gonna probably try and mow through all of that up until our most current episodes, and yeah, and then go from there. So that is all I've done since our last video.
Sweet. I have just been catching up
What about
with
you?
Harley Quinn. Keeping up with that. Still keeping up with Severance. Um, Gone back and like started watching The Witcher season 3 because I missed The Witcher season 3 for some reason. I'm thinking about finishing Cobra Kai though, because I kind of like I heard there was a good ending. So I stopped watching it for
That's what I heard too.
yeah, okay. Um I stopped watching because they kept like flipping sides and like they were villains, they were hitting each other, and then they be friends, and then they hit each other, and they're friends, and it's just like okay, couldn't take it. So I do hear that it like evens out and stops that, so I'm kind of okay with that. So I may finish that. Um, Started playing MLB The Show 23. That's fun. So of course the Red Sox win the World Series in 2023, according to MLB The Show. They do, Alex.
I was like, "Where's my O's? Where's my O's stuff, man?"
Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all I've done. And then I watched got caught up with those movies with you. Um, Also, we don't really have any news either. It's pretty slow couple weeks news wise, unless you're Ryan Reynolds or Blake Lively fan, um, or not.
Hmm.
SNL had their 50-year anniversary like shebang yesterday. That was kind of interesting to watch. There's a few things that were on there. Nothing noteworthy. Thunderbolts trailer came out for the Super Bowl. If you guys watched the Super Bowl, I actually really liked that trailer. I'm actually excited for this team. The movie. So yeah, I'm cool. Do you have any news?
No, I did just share today that they're filming the Spider-Man 4 this year in
Yeah.
London a little bit. I don't know in its entirety, but that what is it? Tom Holland just confirmed that sometime recently. So I'm like, that's cool,
Yay!
appropriate for discussion.
Yay! Um, yeah. Oh, I did want to ask you. I was going to ask you this off camera or off recording, but there was a game that you shared the highlights for. What game is this? What was it? I'm looking it up right now.
Oh.
Tide
Let me. The name escapes me off the top. Yeah, like give it to me.
Tides of Annihilation?
Yes. Yes, there oh, I completely forgot. I mean that doesn't technically count as like something I've done, slash it doesn't count as news. But we did have a state of play for PlayStation. Um I was like in and out because I was that was last Wednesday and I was having an early Valentine's Day with my wife, and so we were driving back during that time. So she was driving while I could watch it, and I had kind of an early day that day, so I was kind of like nodding off in the car, which doesn't bode well for the state of play. But generally speaking, I uh, I think that most gamers, most PlayStation people, thought that was kind of a B minus C plus kind of state of play. It wasn't great. I think we were just hoping for things like Wolverine, like a confirmed like actual trailer or a release window, something for that, or more on Ghost of Yotai, things like that. Um, but we got a lot of like we got Monster Hunter, like okay, that's cool, and then we got a couple of newer titles that we weren't ever shown before. But that what you just told me, Tides of Annihilation, that was the one that I was like, this looks cool. This looks like I don't know what. I think because I'm such an avid Kingdom Hearts fan, I think does this look like Kingdom Hearts esque combat? And I think it does, and I think it's a good what would I say? Like a Final Fantasy ish type of combat. And I thought it looked pretty. I think it looked very, very interesting. Um for something I wasn't ever aware of before, I think it looks pretty cool. So yeah, that's my number one takeaway from um the state of play. I mean, there was another kind of like goofy game called uh Darwin something. I can't remember. It's like where you play as an octopus or a squid. And that looked kind of fun, but otherwise I was like, state of play is okay. I'm like I'm glad I'm nodding off during kind of a not great one. I don't. A lot of fans are saying they didn't even need that state of play. So I mean, but
Right.
that is a game that launched that leapt out at me. Like I was like, you know what, I'm really gonna share this one. So I hope that's not too far that we have to wait for that one.
Cool. Did I hear correctly that the rumor is that God of War is going to go to Egypt now?
So I think that yes, it is very rumor. Like I don't know. It's like it's a pretty substantial. Like there's probably like I've seen the rumor from several different sources, and like I think what is it? Games Radar or Games Planet? I can't remember. IGN has I think said it. There's a couple other like noteworthy places that have said that, and I'm thinking yes, I think that is true because they said that they weren't technically done with the series. Um, and but Corey Barlog, the game director of both God of War 2 from the original, Greek pantheon and God of War 2018 has said that they planned on the Norse mythology only being two games because he goes, why do trilogies have to be, why do trilogies have to be? Why can't just movies, why can't games just be two games? Like you don't have to have a trilogy. And he goes, yeah, we weren't that was the kind of the initial plan to begin with. So they've kind of told Kratos' like not redeeming arc, but more of like his more rounded character where he's not just a rage monster um kind of story, and he's come a little bit development further along. And then so now yeah, they're switching it over to Egypt, and I'm like, yay. And I have good hopes that we will hear something, even if it's just like a teaserish of teaser trailers, like maybe at the very end of this year, that we will get something um by next year, if not a full-fledged game, um, but a something to like really sink our teeth into because I don't think they're going to be building any ground up from here. I think they're going to take a lot of models from the Norse Kratos because it's very um I mean because like what God of War Ascension to God of War 2018 I think was 7-ish years in between. So I mean that's a long time, but that's because they were building like Norse Kratos up from ground zero at that point. And so I don't think they're going to have to do that. And I think if you go by the whole 4 years rule, 2026, yeah, that's 4 years after our most recent God of War release. So I'm like, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Oh,
So
is it really?
I want that. Yeah, yeah. So it's funny because originally when 2018 came out, they were really worried that because they knew that what is it? Ubisoft was working on Assassin's Creed Origins. We didn't know the title yet, but they knew that they were working on it. And so like having different themes was massively like big. And so Santa Monica was like, well, we got to pick a theme here. Are we going to go Norse? Or are we going to go Egyptian? And in fact, there's an original like very teasery type trailer that was kind of on the hush hush. It's you could go look it up right now where Kratos and Atreus is nowhere to be found is in you can see like pyramids in like the background. He's like traversing through this like what looks like a tunnel, and he comes out and it's like it's a desert scene and there's pyramids and maybe the Sphinx and stuff like that. So they were prepared to go ahead and just jump into that where that was the next thing. Um, but they ultimately decided not to do that. They went and switched to the North, and they were so happy with that because it's a snow setting. It's much different than Origins, which is obviously Egyptian, and so it wouldn't have just been a what looks like a copycat. But now, yes, I think they are switching to Egypt. I'm like, if I were to guess, I'm fairly confident that that's not just a rumor. I think that's a true thing. So I'm like, I would say I'm like 90% sure that that's for real. and I'm really excited about it. I'm so excited for that.
Cool. Okay. Um, so let's jump into like let's do like these Love Hurts and The Brutalist. Let's do The Brutalist first since that's what we've seen first. Um, I don't really want to spend much time on these because our main review this week is Captain America. So let's start with The Brutalist, starring Adrian Brody and Felicity Jones. Um, it is about a Turkish immigrant, Turkish Jewish immigrant that comes over to America, specifically Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area, and he tries to live out his American dream and bring his family back or bring his family to America from Turkey. And he is a architect, a very scholarly architect, and a very established architect in Turkey, and he tries to make his life as an architect here in America. Um, so with that being said, that was the synopsis of that. So with that being said, I struggled when I told you like when we walked out of this movie, I struggled with trying to like rate this movie because it is a um the themes of this movie is very much like in your face, and it is not like one of those like artistic art house movies that try to hide the subtleties of like what the movie is about. And it is very much in your face. I think that's a negative for the movie. But the cinematography is done very well. The acting is done very, very well. Like all the Oscar nominations and stuff that the movie has received are not um, unwarranted, but I would still have to give this movie a five. I thought it was way too long. It was like almost 3 hours and 45 minutes long. You and I had discussed this too, where like the first half of this movie feels completely different from the second half of this movie. The intermission is, I just think it's pretentious. Like it's just like, why are we throwing, like we watched, Return of the King is almost 4 hours long. Um, Endgame is 3 hours and 2 minutes long. So it's like moviegoers now are kind of used to having these long movies. But I also think that like there's something always going on in those movies. But on the same token, I just thought that they didn't need an intermission for this. I think that's what pushes the runtime
Hmm.
out further. Um, I don't know. Like I was just, I don't know. I can't explain why. It's just a five for me.
So yeah, I think you are right. It is a tale of two halves. I think we're both in agreement on that. Whereas like okay, everything pre-intermission, like like for the first I'd say 20 minutes, I was like, okay, is this going to be one that I can't really follow? And it's like, oh, it's so great because I can't follow it, like how Oscar movies tend to be. I'm like, man, I'm in for a long ride. Okay, then you enter Guy Pearce, and I'm like, okay. As soon as his character jumps in, I'm gravitating. There seems to be a pretty clear like plot. Like, okay, he's this guy, he's an architect, he wants you to do this, he likes your work, and then then you have a job, and then things like that, and it's like, okay, I like this story. It's happy. It's going somewhere. I like the characters. They seem like not super rounded, but like very likable. And um, what we're pursuing in both like how would I say this? Um, Getting this character to get back on his feet in more ways than one, both financially and in his family life. There's a clear goal, and it's a happy one. It's a good one. Now, granted, not all movies need to be happy in order to be good, but I'm like, it's a good and easy um plot point to like stick yourself into as an audience member. So so everything my god honest like opinion of this movie, literally watch everything up until the intermission and then stop. I I I honestly don't think it's not going to disrupt your view. You're not going to sit there going, "Oh man, but what happens here? What happens here?" It can be like super implied, but you could pretty much, as an audience, like it funnels you into, "Oh, this happens." You know, make your own happy ending. Like I would think that like the vast majority of audience members would just think the same and make this conclusion. Um, and you can end happy, and it's fun. You're good, and then you're not left sitting with another what 2 hour, or not another 2 hours, another hour and change.
Mm.
So I'm like, this second half just like introduces like negative, like where we establish this character, and maybe it's because like there's hubris in things, and that always leads to somebody's downfall. I, yeah, I get it, but like at the same time, I'm like, you built this character up so much, and then you take it and you throw it, not only throw it away, but you introduce questions in the second part that you just don't get answers to, and you put in weird things that just had no need, were not needed at all, and like it just the most offensive thing is, yes, it just presents a lot more questions than it answers. And I'm just like, what is this? So that second half just drags it down so much. The first half I was like, oh man, okay, I'm liking this. This is like an 8. The second half I was like, God, this is this is a drag. I'm like, the second half is at least a 5. So I may like sort of average out my score. Like overall, I'm like, it's fresh enough to say like as a 6, but like honestly, like I said, just watch the first half and don't even bother with the second. I mean, I'm not even like, and it's not going to ruin the experience. You're not going to leave the theater going, oh man, I totally wonder what happened. I mean, you, like I said, you can draw your own conclusion and just make it like a good movie that way. That's totally fine. So yeah, is it worth is it even worth the first couple hours investment? Yes, if you just stick to that. Is it worth the entire 3+ hours? No. Not even close. If you that second half, it just ruins it so much. And I'm hoping this doesn't get a get doesn't win picture of the year, best picture of the year. So
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna say a 6 to be super fair to that first half. I because that first half does deserve praise. But that second half, whew. So yeah,
And you know what? I agree with you. With that second half, there's just like, well, I mean, even characters that are introduced in the first half that are just kind of like you said, like there's just things that are kind of like thrown away, like his niece. Like I'm sorry to
yeah,
spoil this. I'm sorry to spoil this movie for anybody that wants to see this, but it's like in the second half of this movie, like they do all this stuff to bring his niece over, and then she just ends up leaving. She has no bearings in the story whatsoever. It's just like she's gone,
yeah,
like she's there, and they're
yeah,
like, "Cool, we got her here." And then like there's this weird tension with like her and another character, and it's like, okay, like did something happen? Like you're always like that's how I felt. It was like, did
hmm
like something happen with her and this other character? Is she gonna like have like is something gonna happen with this other character later? And then no, she just finds this other guy and they move back to Israel. And I'm like, oh, okay, uh, all right, why did we bring her over
yeah,
then?
really,
And then like his whole thing with his marriage, it was just really weird. Like I don't know, like maybe I don't know, maybe it's a cultural thing. I don't know, but it was just kind of like he like hated his like he spends like the first half of this movie like so desperate to get his wife and his family over here, and then they're there, and then the second half of the movie he's like, I hate you. I mean, he obviously doesn't say that, but it's just like the feeling that you get is just like he has so much contempt for her that it was just like, where is this warranted? Like why do we not like her? So,
yeah, exactly. I agree. It's yeah, and like like you said, his niece. There's a like I've been talking with Matt more, and and it's always been probably a bugaboo for him, but like more recently, there have been a couple movies where he's been like, all right, if you introduce this character, give them something to do. Don't have them just standing
right.
around like just like, oh, here's this character. We're probably gonna do something, and then throw it all away. It's kind of the same line where don't introduce this like subplot where, like you said, there's his niece who has some type of like tension with some other character, and it's like, oh man, you're gonna see something happen with this, and then never explore it again. And so I'm
Right.
like, that's what this movie does a couple times.
Yeah. And she does it like in the first half of like in the when she arrives in the first half of the movie, like she doesn't talk. And it's like, okay, well, she just got off the train from Hungary or from Turkey, wherever. And it's just
Hmm.
like, okay, like that I get, like the language barrier. But then she's like, they say that she understands like people, and it's like, okay, then why did she talk? And it doesn't like it never really like explores any of that. I don't know. Like I said, I
Yeah.
think it was just. I think you said it, but it's just one of those movies that was just like if you didn't understand it, then that's why it's like been Oscar nominated and all this stuff. But it's just I do think the performances were very good. I'm not going to take it away from them. Like I think the performances
Hmm.
were done very well. It's just one of those movies that it's just like I think the hype and the reverence for it was a little misplaced.
Yeah, I will say that like you're 100% right. Performances were solid. Like Guy Pearce and Adrian Brody by themselves were fantastic. Like I'll often say like when a character or when an actor like is so like good at as whatever role he's doing that I forget that it's that character or that actor.
Hmm.
Like I always recommend that movie Stillwater with Matt Damon because
Yeah,
now while it's simple in nature, Matt Damon does a great job in that. Like I'm not even seeing him, I'm just seeing whatever character he's playing, and that's what was happening here. So he does deserve praise on that, but the storyboarding should have been a little bit like, all right, what do we do here? Let's not do what we did.
right. Okay.
Uh,
Then let's move on to Love Hurts with Kiwi Kwan. Ki Kwan. Um, and yeah, I really wanted to like this movie. Okay, so it is takes place in Milwaukee, of all weird places, which I thought was just a very weird. Anyway, so Mr. Kwan is Marvin. He is a realtor, but he has a secret past of being an assassin for his brother, who is a mobster of some sort, and doing what we never really find out. And he is dragged back into this secret life, like Al Pacino in Godfather Part 3, where they just drag him back in for random reasons. That is with, I keep forgetting her name. What is her name? I'm going to look up her name real quick. Um,
well, the character's name was Rose, but I can't remember the actress's name.
yeah, actress's name. I'm trying
Um,
to. Ariana DeBose, who is a Oscar winner,
yes.
and I think that she needs to pick some better roles following her Oscar win. Um,
Yes.
I really wanted to like this movie so badly because I want him to like succeed. Because his story, like his real life story, is like really cool, and like how he's getting back into movies that one of his loves and everything. And Short Round is making movies again. Um, but this is horrible. I would give this like a 3. And I'm only giving it a 3 because the
Mhm.
choreographed fight scenes were really actually kind of cool. Um, but this it is literally an hour and 20 minutes of I would just say some screenwriter, like a fresh film student screenwriting, like just massive, like just random thoughts. And he just wrote it down on a page. He's like, and then we're gonna go here, 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 and then we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this, and then this movie's over. And I literally walked out of that theater going, what just happened?
Yeah. Yeah. We're pretty much so far our film reviews are right on par with each other. Yeah, I think I saw this like the day before you did, or maybe a couple days before, and gosh, I too wanted to like this movie, but I'm like, I know better. This looks cheesy. I'm gonna go in expecting massively cheesy, and I still was disappointed. Like it's an hour, what, an hour 25, and this
Something
thing
like
is a
that.
pile of crap. It is so bad. Um, it's like it's like, all right, there go, Key, man. You just did everything everywhere all at once, man. That was super awesome. You got the choreography. You got all that, stuff down. You've done that really good. That was a great movie. All right, what if we just took that and did nothing else? We have to have a story. Okay. You used to be a bad guy. Yeah, but I need a little more. Okay, for your brother. Okay, yeah, but like, what am I doing now? What do people do? They sell homes. You're a realtor. That's it. That's it. You don't get any backstory. Well, yeah, you do get backstory. You get lame backstory. And they made he's he looks, and I'm sure he's one of the sweetest guys on the planet. He I know he is because he carries himself that way. So I don't want to like crap all over him, but this movie, he is not. He doesn't look tough in this movie, and they put those moments where they go and flash back into what his life used to be, and I'm like, they just make him look the exact same, and then just put a little mustache right here, and I'm like, this is he looks weaker back then. He looks tougher now, if anything, and I'm like, God, this. And then they have like these side romances where, I'm sorry to anybody who's listening. I'm going to go ahead and spoil this because this is a
Yes,
giant piece
please,
of poop. Um,
please, yeah.
yeah. It is. He has like a secretary or an assistant or something like that who, early on in the movie, um, Quan and some other guy are fighting in his office, and he's able to subdue him. But he leaves him there in the office, and his assistant finds the dude, and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And then he randomly has like a poetry book, and then she's like, "Oh, he's like a
Yeah.
gentle soul, or he's blah blah blah," and then like super falls in love with it, and I'm like, "This is massively like grossly cheesy. I hate every second of this," and like I also give it a 3, but like I don't know what's worse. This knowing it was going to be cheesy and like still came out as crap, or because Violent Night, also a Universal film of the same kind of mentality. I was super excited about that movie, and you guys know that I hated that. That was my number one worst movie of 2023.
Is
Yeah,
that
that
Santa
movie,
Die Hard? Die Hard with Santa?
yeah, yeah. I wish there was Santa in there. He's like in it for like 5 minutes. I embellish. He's in it more than that, but I'm like, that probably still burns more than this movie, but this movie still has no excuse. Um, I think, um, I think his next movie, Quan, I think his next movie will be a little bit more thought out because again, he's probably just a super sweet guy, and he was like, he's he had did he win an Oscar for Everything Everywhere? Okay, so he's coming off of that high, and he's like, oh man, I'm back. I'm able to do this. I've still got it. Things like that. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, dude. Take that energy. But I think he was like, I can just do anything. Let me be a part of any next movie. And he chose that. And yeah, like you said, screenwriters just kind of probably were super newbies. And he was just like, I'm on board. Let's do it. Let's make this. And he didn't think, like, he didn't read the script too much, or he didn't like dive too far into it. I just, again, that's me super simplifying it, and I hope his next movie um definitely is more like he takes his time a little bit more with that one. And I expect him to do that. But because this was a misstep, absolutely, and it was just an overshot, like just going from the high of the Oscar. to like, oh man, I got this, I can do anything, and then just kind of a misstep. And so hopefully his next film, which that we missed this little bit of news that Goonies 2 is actually confirmed. Like it is going to be made. I know. So maybe that'll
No.
be his next movie. He's like, you know what?
Uh, well, yeah, with this, like, it's just, it was so, yeah, the plot was so dumb. It was just like, and I see what you're saying about Quan. And it's just like, I think because of his real life persona and being that nice guy, like, it doesn't really kind of, like, it, like you said, when he becomes like that, when they view him as that bad guy, like, you can't really see him like that. And I don't know if it's because like he is
Yeah.
super sweet and whatever in real life, and you kind of just expect that. And so when they show it, it's just it doesn't come across that way. It does come across like it's this is weird. And then like he's supposed to like let this girl live after she steals money from his brother, and then like he kind of quits what he's doing and like they make it sound like he's moved on, like he moved away and like into this different town and whatever, but he's in the same town. Like that's what got me too. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, he's in the same city? Like his brother wasn't just like, oh, he's down the street now. Like, oh, and then I think what set me off, like set me over the edge too, is did you know that one of the Property Brothers is in this movie?
Yes. Yeah. That I knew it.
I was like, for what? And then he has that one, what is it, like 30-second fight scene because he knows karate for some reason, and then they kill him. And I'm like, oh, Property Brother's dead. That sucks.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. My brother kept going, "Hey, I think he's from that not the what he's known for, but like, yeah, I think he was in that one like show or something." I was like, "He's one of the Property Brothers, dude. He's like he actually like this is what he actually does for a living." So it was weird.
It was very weird. I was just like, okay, like we're just gonna pick he was probably like on the set somewhere. And he was like, come on, Property Brother, whoever. Let's teach you a little fight scene, and then you can like go on your merry way and get shot in the face. And then killing like Sean Austin too. Like, what was that all about? That was weird.
Yeah, it's like it's almost exactly what you're saying. It's like a screenwriter who just got out of film school. He knows he or she knows like all these like they've studied all these action lines and everything and like takes a little bit of everything like all right we got this henchman like oh man I need you to get it now get what now what do you need now and like
Yeah.
I need you know blah 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 and oh and what's with his brother's obsession with boba and using straws as weapons. I was like every time he did that.
Yeah. And I thought about it too. I was like, are boba straws that sharp? Like, what is?
That's what I thought. I was like there's no way.
Yeah.
Maybe scratch something, but not absolutely like gouge your eye out.
Yeah. That was dumb.
Three. 3 out of 10. That movie
Yes, three out
sucked.
of 10. Please don't go see this movie. If you like and it was Valentine's Day driven as well for some reason. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, we're gonna move on to our main review of this week, which is Captain America: Brave New World, which sees Sam Wilson. Yeah, sees Sam Wilson come Wilson sees Sam Wilson come back as Captain America. He's in full-fledged gear now, and he's ready to do this. He is there to help Thaddeus Ross keep the peace between him and Japan over the Celestial Island and their new discovery of adamantium, which any comic book reader knows, yes, which any comic reader does know that it is the strongest metal in the Marvel Universe, and it is what is laced on Wolverine. skeleton. So it is a big deal for the Marvel Cinematic Universe to introduce adamantium. And things things go a little awry. So for Sam and his new one of his first missions as Captain America, I guess, in this MCU. Um, I'm gonna give this a solid 7. Um, I did have a lot of I liked it um to a point. And I will say why after I give my reasons and why I did like it. So I thought that the movie actually does a very good job of moving the MCU forward. With the last few projects of the MCU, and some of the movies that they did, like Deadpool and Wolverine, doesn't move. It doesn't move like even though it's an MCU movie, it doesn't move the story like the MCU forward in any way. It just kind of
Hmm.
is this like sidestep into like a different kind of like thing with Deadpool and Wolverine and putting those two together, those two iconic characters together, and watching this like buddy cop movie or this buddy road trip movie or whatever it's supposed to be, which was fun to watch, and I did like it, but it doesn't move the MCU forward any much. This actually does. It does actually take some,
Hmm.
yes, it does take some storylines that were introduced in other movies and other MCU projects, and it does move the story at least forward. Um, the graphics and everything were done very well. There is one scene that you kind of like towards the end that you see Sam and you can completely tell that he's in a green screen. And it's just like, okay, that was a little wonky. It's like literally the last 10 minutes of the movie. Yeah,
Hmm.
10 minutes of the movie. Um, all the red stuff with Red Hulk is pretty cool. The downfall with the Red Hulk stuff is yes, all the stuff that you see in the trailer is literally all the stuff that you're going to see in the movie. That is one of the downfalls of this movie. The other downfall of this movie is that I don't think it's a Captain America movie. It tries very hard in the very beginning to be like a Winter Soldier-esque type of movie, which is what got me excited about it. Because I love Winter Soldier. I think Winter Soldier is arguably the best MCU movie that they've ever made. Even better than Endgame. Um, I just felt like that was a Captain America movie. This does not feel like a Captain America movie. This feels like a wrap up of storylines that were introduced, like I said, into other movies, especially The Incredible Hulk 2008 with the one with Edward Norton. They introduced a few new characters and a few ideas in that movie, and it's like this is the movie that they were like, okay, we have to kind of like figure out a way to wrap these storylines up or to reintroduce these storylines to kind of make them relevant. And then they were like, oh yeah, and Sam Wilson's Captain America, so let's just kind of like throw him in here. And it kind of I felt like it kind of gave a disservice to Anthony Mackie and his performance of Captain America and his like stamp as being Captain America because I still don't feel like he had enough like Chris Evans. You know what I mean? Like Chris Evans was like established as Steve Rogers. He was established as like Captain America. And yes, I think Falcon and Winter Soldier, if like people go back and actually watch Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think it's underrated and I think it does establish his character as being like struggling with being Captain America because he's black. And I just don't think that this movie did what Winter Soldier did for Chris Evans. I just think that this one was just like we need to like find a way to like take these storylines, but and then we're gonna throw Captain America in there because like where else are we gonna do it? We can't do because the MCU can't do a Hulk movie without Universal getting some sort of rights. So they can't do another Hulk movie. So this is like I think this is their roundabout way of doing a Hulk sequel without like doing a Hulk sequel. But I think it's at the disservice of Anthony Mackie trying to establish himself as Captain America. So 7, because it's not a bad movie. Like I don't think that it was a horrible movie. Um, and there are good parts in it. And I think that they like with the new Falcon and with Danny Ramirez being the new Falcon and as Joaquin Torres and stuff, I like the chemistry between the two of them and stuff. And so there are good things that came out of this movie. I just don't, like I said, I just think it does a disservice to Anthony Mackie.
Um, yeah, I sat there. I struggled with it's it's at least a fair movie to be certain. I'll say that I was teetering along 6 or 7, somewhere in that range. I because I think you nailed it right on the head. It does it if nothing else, it does move the MCU forward at least some because
Mhm.
it's trying to um clearly establish the the new Avengers. That's
Yeah.
what it's trying to focus on. And so, um, but there's a couple of downfalls in this. Um, like it's fun. It's the characters are fun. I think you're right. It does Anthony Mackie a disservice a little bit. Um, and you're right. It doesn't feel like a uh Captain America movie. A lot of people were joking, but it actually feels kind of right. And I think you are exactly right. Without being able to do a Hulk movie, this is your way of doing a Hulk movie, a Hulk sequel, because everybody would joke that oh, this is Incredible Hulk 2 following Edward Norton's Hulk.
Mhm.
So but one of the downfalls, two main downfalls are and I talked to Matt about this, and he did not really like the movie at all. He was just like one of the things, and I agree with him, is there's a lot of characters who and this is the bugaboo that I was talking about before with him, is that he hates introducing a character and having them do nothing. Like there's Thaddeus's assistant, like the ex Black Widow. Um,
Oh, yeah, yeah. She was part of the Red Room.
yes, and she's like introduced, and then nothing really becomes of her. And then what is it? Isaiah, the guy who is wrongly imprisoned and experimented on for decades, they bring him, and then they whisk him back out into prison. And then there's a couple other people that are like, oh, we're just gonna have this person, and then they don't do anything. So there is that. So I try not to glean too over much onto that because I'm like, I just generally go by how it feels because I'm like you. I didn't think this was a bad movie. I thought it was, like I said, fair. I would probably split the difference and say 6.5 because it does feel okay. And you know what? And I think you're right in that because I remember reading IGN's review and saying that it was a trying to mimic Winter Soldier by being that kind of not espionage, but something in that kind of realm. And I was like, well, you know what? Even if it fails, at least you're trying to mimic probably one of the shiniest,
Yeah.
parts of the MCU. My personal favorite being Infinity War, but Winter Soldier is definitely up there. I mean, you probably would get the massive majority of people of the MCU fans saying that Winter Soldier is probably their favorite one because rightfully so. So at least you're mimicking greatness. So I just there and then the other downfall part for me was the advertisement is that okay, Red Hulk's in this. Guys, Red Hulk is definitely in this. Look at him, man. He's hulking out, he's freaking out, he's totally red, he's about to rip everybody apart. And this movie just does nothing but tease it until the end. And I mean, I get it, but at the same time it's like, hey guys, you don't know what's happening. You don't know what you're not ready for Red Hulk. You're totally not ready for it. He's gonna Hulk out. No, no, you can't have it yet. You can't have it yet. And then for the last 5 minutes ish, oh man, here's Red Hulk. He's
Yeah.
gonna do stuff. So
Hulkish.
it was cool, Hulkish. We joked and we were like, what if what if Harrison Ford just went out of screen and then came back and he was just painted red? Oh, you guys are gonna CGI this, right? Yeah, totally, Harrison. Just keep going. Um, It's um I'm trying to think what I would compare this to um within the MCU. It's definitely one of my better ones of post Endgame movies. There's a I mean, there's what? No, actually, there's Far From Home too. Man, that's crazy. That actually, Far From Home is um that is post Endgame, right?
Yep.
Or am I wrong? Yeah. Okay.
Far From Home?
Because I was like, yeah, yeah, the second Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it is.
Because they,
Because I, yeah, go ahead.
I actually seen on Facebook that I think IGN was ranking them.
Yeah, I
IGN.
would say No Way Home is easily the number one.
Yeah.
And I was talking with Matt again about that, and he goes, I don't know if I consider that MCU. I'm like, it is an MCU. It's very much an MCU movie. Um, and so with that, I mean, in mind, I was like, yeah, that's definitely number one. I don't know if anybody can argue that. Um, and then maybe like, I don't know, Shang-Chi is probably number two for most people. Uh, and then like the two worst ones,
Okay.
I think are a neck and neck tie between Eternals and Ant-Man Quantumania. So, um,
Okay. So I found what I was looking for. So IGN did do on February on actually Valentine's Day. They released this. It's called post Endgame MCU Rotten Tomatoes scores.
yeah.
Okay, so Far From Home is a part of the post MCU, and I actually knew it was.
Yes.
So this is just the movies too. So it's not all like everything that's post MC or post Endgame. Um,
Yes.
so we have Far From Home, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals,
Hmm.
No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Marvels, Deadpool, Wolverine, and then Captain America: Brave New World. So as far as the MCU or the Rotten Tomatoes scores go, it looks like No Way Home,
Hmm.
Shang-Chi, Far From
Yep.
Home, um, Wakanda Forever, Guardians 3, Deadpool, Wolverine, Black Widow, Multiverse of Madness, The Marvels, Brave New World, and then Eternals is last. Oh, and Thor and Love and Thunder is right above Captain America: Brave New World. Because there's Thor and Love and Thunder is 64%, Captain America: Brave New World is at 50. Oh, Quantumania is actually dead last. So Eternals is 1 point higher at 47, and Quantumania is 46%. Now, looking at this, I'd probably give that the same thing. I would probably rank those the same way. I would put, yeah, Far From Home is probably the best post-Endgame MCU movie. Um, yeah, I would definitely kind of go with that
I, I
that
would
ranking.
say, do you mean No Way Home?
Yeah, No Way Home is my
Yeah.
favorite post Endgame MC movie.
Yes, I would agree. Um, I I'm one of the rare ones who actually thought Black Widow wasn't bad. Probably just had a bad villain. Um, and
Yeah,
so whatever. Yeah. Um,
so Black Widow's at
Shang-Chi,
79%, so it's
yeah,
decent.
that's fair. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, all of them are okay. Like Thor: Love and Thunder would be dead last, in my opinion, if Christian Bale actually wasn't a good gore God Butcher.
right.
Like he did really well. Eternals probably is dead last. And speaking of Eternals, I do appreciate how this movie was able to like take some part of like the most interesting part of Eternals being the celestial being and like making it like kind of relevant and like somewhat good. But Matt brought up a question where didn't they destroy like that like because he was like frozen into the earth or something like that, and wasn't he like wasn't part like the hand or something part of him destroyed that they actually put in this movie?
I don't think
I don't
so.
know.
I
Oh
think they just
well,
stopped him from emerging.
okay. Well, I mean, I did appreciate that because I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Now, I think what carried a lot of us, like and correct me if I'm wrong, because and I'm in this camp too, that I think probably what carries us most into over like glorifying this movie than we maybe should is the whole adamantium thing. Because I think we like as soon as they said that, I was like, ooh, ooh, we know what that means. We know what that means. And
Yeah.
so it's making us tingle like, oh, but I think it's kind of what we're saying. It's making the MCU move along because we all know, again, we all know what adamantium is about. And
Hmm.
it just is, it's the future and we know what's coming soon and they know they can't mess it up. So we're really excited. So I think that one plot line alone carried us throughout the movie. Now, that may be oversimplifying it and it may not be giving the rest of the movie justice, but I did think about that often. I just was like, it's a huge focal point. I mean, it's the beginning scene where they're trying to stop somebody from, taking adamantium and, doing an exchange, and then it's massively the focal point of struggle. It's literally the whole purpose of the movie. Like, um, but then somebody else raised up another question, because, and this is where the multiverse gets like and messes things up. Um, so if in Deadpool and Wolverine now being an official MCU movie, if he's already Wolverine and he's established as current, doesn't that mean adamantium already has been founded and exists?
No.
So then how come they're just now discovering it? And because and then Logan from Logan, like our Wolverine, wasn't he was the what do they call it? The anchor being of this. I don't know the universes. No, is that not
No.
correct?
No.
Okay.
He's the anchor being for like one of the other universes.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Huh.
so from my understanding, the MCU is a part of the 616 universe. Okay. Which is
Okay.
it is still it is kind of confusing because that's the comic book universe, which is a little weird. So the MCU is a part of the six is considered 616. Um, well, hold on.
Yeah. Well, okay. And then I mean if that is the case where like Logan from Wolverine from Logan is not part of 616, then it makes a little bit more sense. Um because I'm like, yeah, well, and Trey was the one who brought it up to me. He was like, yeah, didn't you think that was a little weird that like they're discovering it, but he's already been around? And I was like, oh yeah, I mean, if that is the case, then yeah, that is a little
Oh
weird.
wow. Sorry, I
So,
was listening to you. But Kevin Feige may have. So okay, Marvel Studios is Marvel. The MCU is a part of the six or 616. Okay.
mhm.
Logan is a part of Earth 1005. So
Okay.
he's on a different one. So he's the low. So I understand the confusion because there is that scene in the beginning of Deadpool and Wolverine where he's talking to Happy Happy Hogan
Hmm.
about
Yeah.
joining the Avengers. But I don't think it was the Avengers of 616. I think it was an Avengers of his universe.
Okay.
So, but Kevin Feige, I guess it says this is from Google. Who's the anchor being for Earth 616? Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige might have already revealed that Earth 616 anchor being is none other than Doctor Strange, which is why people were kind of like wondering why 616 wasn't going to be destroyed because of Tony. So everybody thought it was Tony. That's what I thought it would have been. But he kind of says
Mm,
anchor beings are now a concept in the MCU introduced in Deadpool and Wolverine as individuals who are essential to the survival of their respective universe. So
mm.
he teased that it was probably that it was Doctor Strange.
Okay, I could see that, and that makes sense. So, okay, I mean,
Yeah,
assuming that all lines up, then okay, that takes that plot hole like and fills it.
which,
So, okay.
which actually makes complete sense because from my understanding, didn't we do a news thing like a few weeks ago that says that he's like Doctor Strange is going to be essential to
Yeah.
Secret Wars, right? He wasn't going to be a part of
Hmm.
Doomsday, but he was an essential part of Secret Wars.
I believe that is right. Yeah. So, okay, that
Okay.
would make sense then.
Yeah. There you go.
Um, but yeah, overall, this Brave New World, it's, I mean, critics are what? I think critics were saying somewhere in the realm of a 52%, and then audience scores were like at a 79, I think,
Yeah.
which I was like, okay, I'm like, I was saying somewhere, yeah, 6, 7. I think I'll split the difference and say 6.5. It's not a bad movie. It's fairly okay. Like you definitely could watch worse movies than this. Like I even, like one of the like more disappointing ones, funny enough, talking about Doctor Strange is Multiverse of Madness, in my opinion. And I raised the question, like, which was more disappointing, this or that? And Matt goes, oh yeah, definitely, uh, this. He's like, at least Multiverse of Madness had like that horror like uniqueness of it and a bunch of other stuff that he said. And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess. Um, but it's it's a fair movie and I think it deserves success. I wish they would have put a little bit more of Red Hulk in there. I wish it wasn't just like saved to the very, very, very last part of the movie. But I think the best part of this, and we've just been talking about it this whole time, is that it's moving the MCU forward, and it gives us a little bit of hope that like, okay, if we finally turn this corner and like we've got all this new property that we now can talk about, you know, with the X-Men, Fantastic Four, how like as long as we organically put it in there, we've got stuff to talk about for a long while still. So hopefully this kind of turns a corner. Um and speaking of all this, talking about Avengers, you know, the next MCU movie coming up is Thunderbolts, and there's an asterisk under the on the title, and I thought that was just supposed to be cute, like that was supposed to be the title, and like because I believe in the comic books, I don't read any of the comic books, I'll admit, but I think that like that's part of the reference in the comic books too is that they never like settled on their own name. They were just calling themselves Thunderbolts for a while until they just kind of like until they figured out something and then it just kind of stuck for a while. So it's like I don't know, maybe you can correct me on that.
As far as I know, what the Thunderbolts is actually is is a secret team. It's kind of like the Suicide Squad of
Hmm.
the Marvel comic book universe. And it's actually run by Thaddeus Ross. And so he
Yes.
calls Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. So he calls them Thunderbolts because they're supposed to be reformed villains. And I think that that's why like I'm kind of excited about this because it is the MCU version of the Suicide Squad. And they're kind of sent to do these like random jobs, like these Suicide Squad jobs that they're supposed to get them killed. I don't think that they're actually like prisoners. I think that they're just kind of hired guns, like anti-villains or anti-heroes. So in the comic books, he calls them the Thunderbolts. In the MCU, I'm not sure because what threw me for a loop in Brave New World was that the ex-Black Widow calls Bucky senator, like a senator or congressman to be, or senator elect or something like that. Like
Hmm.
he's a part of the Thunderbolts in the next movie. I don't think that he is in the comic books. I can't remember who was actually the because it like the Suicide Squad, it always changes. Um, so the team always changes. So I know that like Helena is kind of like that Harley Quinn like centerpiece like most of the time, but it like the team is always changing. But I was kind of confused on like why Bucky's even a part of the Thunderbolts. It is kind of weird to me like why he's there. Unless the Thunderbolts actually takes place before Brave New World, which I wouldn't think.
I wouldn't
But
think so either.
I don't know.
Um, well, and also, so I think the asterisk might be because, like, depending on how well that movie does, and if it introduces like, because we were under the impression maybe that it's like, what's the Tom Cruise movie, Edge of Tomorrow, which ends up becoming Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah,
Um, which is they're thinking that maybe that would be Thunderbolts, but if it does well enough and introduces the way we think it might go, that they'll call it Dark Avengers. So
I
no,
think there's a reference to it in the trailer because I think Bucky says something like we can't call ourselves that because I think
uh,
Red Guardian in the trailer Red Guardian was like we are the Thunderbolts or whatever and Bucky was like we can't call ourselves that.
yeah,
So I I will look it up real quick, but I could have swore that the asterisk has something to do with what's in the movie and not
yeah.
because the Dark Avengers is more of a um like magical um
Hmm.
it's like the Dark Justice League. They're like mythical creatures and things like that.
Uh,
Like the Dark Justice League is like Constantine and Swamp Thing and was it Mr. Death or something like that?
hmm.
Asterisk.
Yeah, overall, yeah, Brave New World. Yeah, it's somewhere in the six to seven range. I think it's fair enough. I mean, it's making. I think its budget was 150 million or 180 million, and I think it's made probably after today. I would say definitely made over 100 million for the weekend. Um, so I think it'll definitely make its money back for sure. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think so too.
So yeah.
Um, so according to Reddit, that didn't show me anything. Yeah, so I don't know. I could have swore that it had something to do with like what the plot point of the movie is, and that's why they're not saying why there's the asterisk. That's what I could have swore because like he says in the uh, sorry, I'm reading like as I'm telling you this.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I think there's just it could be just a bunch of theories, but I think I that might just be the actual title, and it just that's I
Yeah,
mean that's what it always was, and so what we're set for May 2nd, so that'll be Star Wars weekend, so that'll be cool.
oh yeah,
Now it
for
has me
sure.
more excited about it, and I like how the official poster for that now it looks like a box of Wheaties.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I didn't
Um,
like the first one. I didn't like the first
yeah, it was
poster.
okay.
Yeah.
It was okay, but but yeah, so that was I guess that was our review of Captain
Yay!
America Brave New World. Yay. Uh
Yay!
Mild success.
It is a mild success. Like I said, I did like it as well. Like I'm with you. As I've reiterated a few times, I because of the introduction of adamantium, pushing the MCU forward. That's why I liked it. I did like Anthony Mackie. I think that he's very charismatic as Sam Wilson. I think he does a very good job as Sam Wilson. I just hope that um, I hope that they like Marvel and Kevin Feige come back around to like Sam being Captain America. I think that he does a very good job, and I don't want to do like the comic books where they kind of go back to Steve Rogers, um, because I think Steve Rogers like those first three Captain America movies were very good. But I wanted Sam to have his chance, and I wanted Anthony Mackie to have his chance to be actually Captain America. And I think that they need to find something with Captain America and not like the Hulk stuff that they kind of introduced all these other storylines to in other MCU movies. But like you said, we're moving on to the Thunderbolts. Fantastic Four is also in July, which I keep seeing. I think you even sent out in the Facebook page about Captain America or Fantastic Four and Superman beating up on Jurassic Park come July, which is probably going to be true.
Hmm.
Um, Another weird mishmash of movies. Was it Super Astic Four? It's so stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, next week, we'll do the monkey. The Monkey, with which is Osgood Perkins' new adaptation of Stephen King's The Monkey Paw with Theo, what's his name? Theo James, I think, isn't
Yes,
it?
I believe that is correct. Yeah.
Cool. Do you have anything else, sir?
No, I think we had a good amount of
Yeah,
stuff accomplished today.
we did. Hopefully next week Ryan will be back. Hoping that he's okay. We miss you, Ryan, still. And if you got nothing else, then give us a like, send us a comment, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we love hearing from you guys. But until next week, we'll see you guys later.